And I am on a different laptop than my normal one, so the camera picture I noticed looks far different. But anyhow, I guess you get to see more of our cabin out here in the Lebanon, Lancaster area. So today, what I want to talk about is this idea of turning down the noise, and then we're re-entering the story here of Noah and the ark, and it literally is time. They're stepping onto the ark. Literally, they're making that movement, and God says this, and here's this beautiful line. And Jehovah said to Noah, "Enter the ark, you and all your household, because I've seen you before me as a just person in this generation." So there's lots of beautiful theology in that. So that idea, folks, right? Like the flood comes. We've been talking about those things that we do to get ready for the inevitable floods of life. And here's one where Noah starts to get loaded on the ark. And here's God saying, "Hey, I see you. I see you." And he, how does God see this part of us, this Noah part of us, as a just part, a part that's working hard, a part that continues to try, a part that is, it just has sort of this quiet feel to this of being seen. And I think that part of being seen, that part that God sees in us. What is that part that God sees in us? Well, here's a part where God's just saying, that part that is just, that part that has tried and continues to try and has that stillness to us, and that part that really is out to do it right. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful concept to hold. And when we look at that peace and I think peace can so many times be defined both ways and both spellings, when we're talking about it in spiritual terms. There's some ideas I wanted to share with you. And one is like that part is able to actually see what's actually true. And really important, we've been mentioning this a lot, we'll continue to reinforce it, which is the idea that any negative thing that comes from hell is just in and of itself false, plain and simple. And that's what creates this noise. And that's what we try to turn down, however you want to say it, is that noise. And that noise from hell, again, like think of the flood, think of the waters of the flood, the winds, the storm, and all that. Part of it is realizing that hell deals not only with falsities, but false assumptions. And Emanuel Swinburne's big on pointing that out. So there's a lot of false assumptions that are with it. False assumptions about life, false assumptions about challenges, all kinds of false assumptions. And I'll just play you a little example of the kind of pieces where we can see those assumptions at work, and then talk about, this Noah piece that might be able to give us a deeper insight. So one false assumption is that an event occurs and it will be the end of your life. Like it's the end of life completely as you know it. And it can feel like that. I mean, a serious challenge in life can feel like it can have a finality to it. Like this is literally a death. And sometimes those events are a death. And yet we continue to live on. I mean, we are, as Christians, we are resurrection people. We are a body that believes that we go through these challenges of death, waiting, and resurrection, that God is continually trying to breathe things back into life, even those things that have felt like they died. And the other part of that is understanding, right, this Noah bit. So we have these false assumptions, and then we have a much better place. Again, this Noah place inside of us. And when I was thinking about it, it's kind of a silly little one, but I was thinking about it because we're going to be starting our small group on gratitude coming up. Is this simple idea? Like, just think of this question, folks, which is, and make sure I read it right. When gratitude is present, what is not present? Kind of interesting question, right? So when we put gratitude, that becomes our reality. When gratitude becomes our deep reality, what's not present then? When I think for me, when gratitude is present, what's not present is a lot of fear, a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety. Fear, worry, and anxiety. Lions, tigers, and bears. There you go. And that's not always easy. That really is a spiritual work. And when we're in that flood, it's hard to imagine that there are these other pieces. But they're in there, just like Noah's in the ark. Like it's in there. It's in there in a deep way. It's in there, in a protected way. And our job is to try as best we can to get to that piece as best we can. So that's the thought for today, folks, is just have that settled part in your heart today. settled part in your heart. And notice the truths that are there, not the false stuff and the false assumptions that hell is constantly whispering into our ear, but the true stuff that we're bringing on board. And one of the ways to get at that true stuff is just look at that question, and answer it for yourself. Or if you're watching this with someone, answer it with them. Or if you have someone you can share it with and you want to, just talk about it and say like, oh yeah, how do you see this? It would be really interesting to hear what people have to say. When you are in a place of gratitude, what is not present? And it's kind of interesting, right? Because a lot of the bad stuff goes when we center ourselves on what is actually true. So that's my thought for today, dear friends. I hope that makes sense. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little meditation, little prayer, little blessing, and then we'll say hi to folks on social media. If you are joining us for the first time, you may tune in to us on, the New Church Live's Facebook page, where we have a live commentary that I'll be remarking on here in a minute. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello here. See how folks are doing. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We got a lot of comments today. All right. So it'll be interesting to hear what people have to say this morning. Okay. So, Martha, good morning to you, my friend. I hope you're doing well out there in the Midwest. Patricia, great to have you joining us as well. Sherry, good morning from Tennessee, and I love those fall leaves. We are just starting to hit that stuff. Linda, good morning to you, my friend. Paige, right? Lions and tigers and bears. I just love that. I love that Wizard of Oz scene. Lions and tigers and bears. My so good. Marianne, when gratitude is not present, nothing feels like enough. Wow, that's really good. Really good. Marcus, good morning to you, buddy. Melissa, good morning to you, my friend. Those negative thoughts are false and they are hell. Daily struggle. Needed this today. So it's so like crazy how Melissa, like, boy, our heads just go with that stuff. And what I find challenging is it's not that, at least when I'm in that place, it's not that I'm choosing those thoughts. Those thoughts have sort of chosen me. And a lot of the work is just doing the best I can to let go of it, but it's never instantaneous. Like, wow, do I wish it was a light switch or look over there, right? A candle, I could blow that bad light out. And that's not how it works. It's a lot more work than that. That's for sure. Sherry writes, good morning. Mary writes, oh yes, gratitude also quiets hell's noise. Yeah, it really does. It's just interesting. It just sort of the storm pounding outside, and then here's this gratitude that can just shift us. Yeah, it's so interesting. It's a quote I'm going to be using, folks, in a sermon. I'll probably actually use it in one of these eventually, but there's a beautiful quote that says, "To be a saint is to live a life of gratitude, nothing more, nothing less." And wow, that's big. Just sit with that one for a minute. That sure is a big one. Andrew writes, "Good morning. Gratitude on Monday morning, very necessary. It's so easy to forget weekend blessings on Mondays mornings." Yes, it is. It is so easy to forget. And so much of, yeah, Andrew, thanks for saying that. And so much of life is just this remembering, it's how do we put it back together? How do we recall what we already know? And that's sort of the beautiful part. Like I just have this image, right? Here's Noah, this beautiful piece, and it's getting put in the ark. And you think, here's this big ark, all these animals, all these other things, but sort of sort of the queen bee of sorts, and not to overdo that analogy, but that's sort of that center that's buried deep, and we all have it. And the question is, how in life can we find ways to touch it more and more effectively? So that's the thought for today, folks. Wishing you all the best. I know, great seeing you folks joining us live, and I'm sure we have a lot of folks, as most do, joining us archived, in which case you are more than welcome to shoot me a comment anytime. I get a kick out of getting comments on some of these that are weeks old, and that doesn't bother me a lick. This is a judgment-free zone. It's just always great to hear from people and hear your thoughts and hear what you're thinking as we do this crazy thing called life together. So, folks, wishing you all the best. God bless. Have a terrific day. Bye-bye.